Oh, well, I guess it wouldn't last 2 years in a row. Everybody knows that the Orange aren't going to be going to the postseason. But with the schedule the way it finishes up, this is the Orange's postseason. But everybody thought, let's hope for a good game against the Blue Devils when they come into the Dome. Remember last year, they came into the Dome and the Orange won in a thrilling overtime game. Well, it lived up to hype for at least the first half. Syracuse played the Blue Devils quite even, but the Blue Devils showed in the second half why they're the fourth-ranked team in the country, pulling out and pulling away from the Orange 80-72. And those hardy souls that camped out those several days there in Bayheimburg, hopefully they got moved inside when Mr. Freeze decided to descend upon Syracuse and the entire Northeast. Of course, last year, Mr. Freeze threw his machine before Batman decided to swoop in. And of course, holy orange, Batman! The Orange defeated the Blue Devils last year. Well, it's like, holy orange, Batman, what happened to Syracuse? Well, at least we got a nice victory over Boston College to fall back on. Of course, in 2 weeks, we head down to a very inadequately staffed area. Heck, they say Cameron Indoor Stadium only has a couple of bathrooms. But maybe they gotta feed the frenzy there, because of all those Duke students who make it Shisheskyville. Oh well, nice try, Orange. But the way we finish up, this is our postseason. We still got Notre Dame, we still got Duke, we still got Virginia, and others coming up on the schedule. Let's finish strong, because there's going to be no postseason this year. Oh well. Of course, what about this weather? I mean, they say old man winter sometimes to rear his ugly head. Maybe we're paying for all the mild winter we had all up until now. Of course, storm after storm. And now, Mr. Freeze decided to throw in his 2 cents worth. Of course, where's Otto Preminger? Where's Eli Wallach? And where's George Sanders when you need them? Of course, they were the ones who played Mr. Freeze on the original series. But Mr. Freeze is here, and he's alive and well. Right now, we're paying for it, especially Boston. Boston, they've reached their breaking point with this weather. Anybody along for being in the Caribbean? Anybody along for being in the Maldives Islands? Anybody along for being in Australia? Old man Winter, he just keeps blowing along, but you don't tote that barge. And you don't lift that bale. Well, next week, of course, is the Oscars. Everybody's gearing up, and everybody's wondering who's going to take the big prize. Everybody thinks it's going to be the movie about the 12 years in a young man's life, boyhood, that's going to win Best Picture. Best Actor's going to be a hotly contested race. Michael Keaton, Bradley Cooper, and Eddie Redmayne are the ones who are in the dead heat for Best Actor. Best Actress definitely looks like a foregone conclusion. So is Best Supporting Actor and Best Supporting Actress. But, I'm kind of leaving things out, but you'll fill in the blanks. Oscar night is always a big night. Let's see who wins. And of course, this past night was Saturday Night Live's 40th anniversary. Some good memories with that show. Anybody remember John Belushi waving that katana sword in the Samurai Delicatessen? By the way, could you break a 20? And who could forget the Bass-O-Matic with Dan Aykroyd? That's good bass. And who could forget Steve Martin being one of the wild and crazy guys? And it was a nice star-studded special last night. Can't believe it's been 40 years since Lorne Michaels started that show. Look at the hundreds of greats that have come through that show. I mean, the names are endless. Dan Aykroyd, Steve Martin, Eddie Murphy, John Belushi, and Gilda Radner, and many, many others. And some of them who are no longer with us, sadly. But Saturday Night Live's always been on the cutting edge of comedy. Let's hope for another 40 years with the Saturday Night Live crew. One word of trivia. I was 3.5 years old when that show started. And look at it. I'm 43.5 years old now. Shows to the staying power of that show, you know. And I do want to finish up with one thing about movies this past week. 50 Shades of Grey was the thing that was getting all the buzz this past weekend. Especially seeing the daughter of Don Johnson and Melanie Griffith play the female lead in it. But of course, it set box office records. But you know, box office records don't exactly copy to how a movie can be. Thing is, I didn't go see it. I rather watch Colin Firth kicking some butt in Kingsman: The Secret Service. Who knew that an actor who won an Oscar about 5 years ago for playing a monarch who stuttered could be such a kick-ass? And of course, I just stuttered right there. But I digress. Thing is, they say 50 Shades of Grey has gotten a lot of negative reviews. Oh well, sometimes the book doesn't translate to the big screen. Of course, it's hard to translate something here. I digress. Oh, I egress. I regress. Oh well, I gress. Gress. Oh, look at the grass. Hey, it's grouse, you numbskull. Oh! Well, that's my thing for this week. And of course, in about a week and another week, the Orange play Notre Dame. Let's hope for a good game against the Fighting Irish. And let's hope they can keep the racing and wrestling until this coming Sunday. Anybody see the Bud shootout there? Heck, the season has hardly started and they're already racing and wrestling. What a nice little melee there after the wreck Saturday night, don't you think? It's the Daytona 500 Sunday, and that's when racing and wrestling can start. I'm Ken Haas, and that's my bit for this week.